Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley Caronia. I love to see that all my homies are ready to go and ready to scroll in the chat. You can join them too. If you watch on rumble.com/Hayley, the Bongino Report channel is where you can watch Nightly Scroll. You can also listen and watch at your own convenience whenever you want, but find Nightly Scroll on whatever podcast platform you prefer, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Search Nightly Scroll and I will be there. I'm very excited about this. Even CNN takes notice of this and pushes back. You know what they say? Nobody is above the law. Then Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, she says she has intel that Democrat donors want to run a safe white boy in 2028. So who will the safe white boy be? I'll give you my predictions in just a little bit. Then, was French President Emmanuel Macron caught hiding a baggie of cocaine on his trip to Ukraine? We will sniff it out. We will sniff it out. We are on different sides in the studio tonight. Andy thinks one thing, I think another thing. So we're gonna get to the bottom of it, or at least fight it out in a little bit. He was also seen loving on Zelensky in a really I don't even know, a crazy way. So I've got that video for you as well. And did the Pope's brother call Nancy Pelosi a see you next Tuesday? Potentially. So we've got a lot to get into on Nightly Scroll. Someone in the chat says, come on, it was a tissue, eye rolling. I agree with you, but someone else in here does not. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at the end. I do agree that it was just a tissue, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll have Mikey zoom in. You're going to find something, a picture or a video that's really clear, and we're going to zoom in as far as we can, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of it. But first, I want to start with Newark, New Jersey. Of course, this is what happens, by the way, when you call yourself a sanctuary state, a sanctuary city. It's just lunacy. And now these three members of Congress from New Jersey, along with protesters, they were facing off with DHS officers on Friday at this local ICE detention facility. These are Democrats, of course, New Jersey House Democrats, Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman, LaMonica McIver, and Robert Menendez Jr. So they were there with Newark, New Jersey Mayor Ross Baraka, who attempted to enter the ICE detention facility. They said that this is all part of their government oversight. They wanted to see the inside of the facility, and they did. They got a tour around 3 p.m. on Friday and held a press conference. But at some point, officers and lawmakers, they clashed. And Mayor Baraka was arrested, eventually charged with trespassing, released. But here's the video of the arrest. Watch.
Get off of her! You cannot push it! You cannot Congress! You can't push members of Congress!
That's the mayor walking around there.
Get off of her!
You can see a lot of pushing and shoving.
I'm sorry.
Lots of pushing and shoving. And there's the mayor getting arrested there by ICE and police officers. Bye-bye. You might have heard in that video that woman screaming over and over again, "This is fascists, you're fascists." It's ridiculous. Anyway, I want to replay this video. This is another angle of it all. So if you're watching, you saw a lot of pushing and shoving. Good rule of thumb, don't push and shove ICE officers, police officers, law enforcement. Not a good idea. But I want to play this video. Watch closely to the woman in the red jacket. That is Representative LaMonica McIver. Watch this. Red jacket, she just hit down on that guy. She's hitting the officer in front of her. This is a sitting representative in New Jersey, in the state house. She's an elected official pushing and shoving law enforcement on camera. That's crazy. That's crazy. So Monica McIver went on CNN, and CNN did this interview. They're asking her, what happened here? How did it get to this point? And did you or did you not push law enforcement officers? She says no, but CNN was a little messy with it. Watch this.
The DHS also says that, in their words, you were body slamming an ICE officer. Is that what we're looking at? Is that what happened?
Absolutely no. I mean, I honestly do not know how to body slam anyone. There's no video that supports me body slamming anyone. We, as Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman said, we were simply there to do our job. Therefore, oversight visit and what you're watching in a video, and we don't have all of the body cam, and we hope that all of the body cam is released. It was a very tense situation. It unfortunately did not have to be like that. They created that confrontation. They created that chaos.
For someone who doesn't know how to body slam anyone, she's pretty good at it.
In East Tennessee, they call that a forearm shiver.
Yeah. Why is that? Why do they call it a...
That's what she did, is elbow and out. I can tell you right now, there were 3 football games last year where the left guard for the Dallas Cowboys didn't block as good as what she was doing outside of that facility.
Yeah. Maybe she'd be better suited for the Dallas Cowboys. But I digress. I thought it was very funny that CNN, they're splitting her with the video of her body slamming. It's a close-up. That was a good angle. That was a good angle of her pushing and shoving the police officers or the ICE officers there. And she says, Dana Bash asks, did you or did you not do this? She says, absolutely not. As we're watching the video, she's split with the video of us watching her do the exact opposite of what she's saying. Wild. It's totally wild. But now, Department of Homeland Security, their press officer, Tricia McLaughlin, she had said, we're looking into this. If there are members of Congress, the House in New Jersey, if they are assaulting police officers, because that's what it looks like, but if we do an investigation and that's what happens, we might see arrests. But DHS followed up with this funny post on X, just making a little fun of the situation here. Just because the border is secure doesn't mean you can find new walls to climb over, guys, which is hilarious. It's true. They're making a mountain out of a molehill. I was even talking to Andy before the show started. This was supposed to be a press briefing. They were saying that they wanted to go to this ICE detention facility to check it out as part of their government oversight. Sure, go. That's totally fine. That's well within your right. You're an elected official. You want to go see this government building. Well within your right. But how did it escalate to the point that we're pushing and shoving? It just shouldn't have gotten to this level. And Monica McIver says that they started it, but something tells me that that's not the case. She also says that she doesn't know how to body slam anyone. She's never done it before. And we also know that that's a lie. So I don't know if I can trust anything that comes out of her mouth, to be totally honest with you. But the ICE lunacy, all of these liberal reactions to ICE, it goes back to Nashville, where I was just living. I've been keeping you updated on what's going on there because it's fascinating what this progressive mayor will do and what he will put up with. So according to, this all started with the Tennessee Highway Patrol working with ICE.
A nearly empty parking lot outside of Plaza Mariachi. What's filling that space is a family working to set up Circus Lena.
We just arrived last year. This parking lot we couldn't even fit because the cars were packed. And right now, I barely see, a handful of cars in this parking lot.
According to people who work in this plaza, a week ago this lot was full, but in the wake of ICE raids, according to Middle Tennessee employees, businesses like Circus Lena say fear has taken over.
This is our center stage.
Oliver Ramos is a fifth-generation performer. He's not just here for the tricks. This is how his family survives.
And right now in this situation that we're in, everybody feels afraid. Everybody feels threatened.
Okay, so apparently everyone in Nashville feels threatened. Or maybe he's saying everyone in his community, which would mean that they're all illegal. And what they're all upset about now is the fact that the Tennessee Highway Patrol worked with ICE and they were doing traffic stops. They set up a traffic stop. This was last week. They stopped about 600 people and 103 of them were detained. Those are crazy odds. But some of them were found to be members of the Tren de Aragua gang and MS-13. Also child abusers. So as someone who used to live in Nashville, I say, get them out. But this is how the Nashville mayor, Freddie O'Connell, responds. He signed an executive order to track and report interactions with federal immigration authorities. He says he doesn't know the names of people detained. He doesn't know why they were being detained. He's now demanding to know these things. He said, I want to be clear, we did not request this approach to safety. We don't support it. He said it's important for us to get this right, and it's very frustrating to see a failure in the process. Failure in the process? They carried out a traffic stop. They stopped 600 people, caught 103. 103 people who were either here illegally or they were members of the Tren de Aragua or MS-13 gangs. I would have appreciated those people being removed from the area. This mayoral election happened when I lived in Nashville. I voted for Alice Raleigh. But the blue cities, are going to vote blue no matter who. That's their slogan. And Freddie O'Connell is more concerned with placating the progressive constituency, all while fighting for criminals to remain in the society. He said, this isn't not the approach to safety that we want. Why the hell not? Then I stumbled on that local news profile where they're talking about, Hispanic businesses. They're saying there's this decrease in foot traffic since these traffic stops. Something tells me that the 103 Nashvillians who were detained, some with violent gang ties, they weren't the ones holding your shopping center together. They weren't the glue holding the community together. So if the community is afraid to go eat at a restaurant or go to a circus because they think they're going to get arrested, you might want to promote your business to law-abiding clientele. I also want to say that this Plaza Mariachi filed for bankruptcy last year. So maybe the recent ICE raids have something to do with it, but I don't think it's the only reason for the slow business. I just wanted to add that. Now I want to get to California. Now, California and Gavin Newsom, he is now vowing to crack down on homelessness. Here's the New York Times. They did a profile piece. Newsom asks cities to ban homeless encampments, escalating crackdown. So Governor Gavin Newsom escalated California's push to get rid of homeless encampments. This was earlier today. He's now calling on hundreds of cities and towns and counties in California to get rid of the tent camps and these encampments on the sidewalks. Also on bike paths, parks, and other kinds of public property, because Californians can't use them if they're being used to house homeless people. Now, Newsom's administration, they have raised and spent tens of billions of dollars on programs to bring homeless people into housing and emphasize treatment, which I would say all in all is a good thing, but tens of billions of dollars, it's like the problem could be cleaned up by now, no? I mean, how much money, how many tens of billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars does it take? California is also home to about half of the nation's unsheltered homeless population. The New York Times pointed that out. they're saying that it was a visible byproduct of the temperate climate and also the state's brutal housing crisis. I would say that there are other parts of the country, red states, that have a temperate climate, and you don't see this kind of homelessness. I would argue that it might be the Democrats' policies that have a little something to do with it. Because it's not just the temperate climate, and it's not just the housing crisis. Just saying. Now, Newsom is really, really good at cleaning up when he has to. Not because the citizens of California deserve to live in a clean space without homeless people and to improve their quality of life, but we've seen this before. Chinese President Xi Jinping came to San Francisco, this was back in 2023, to meet with then President Joe Biden for APEC. They had the conference there, and at the time, San Francisco had roughly 8,000 homeless people, and 56% of them were unsheltered, so living out in these homeless encampments, under the freeway, on the street. And they cleaned up the streets because they knew that the Chinese president was coming to town. And there were all these pictures of men in hazmat suits. They power washed the sidewalks with all the soap. All the homeless encampments were broken up, moved out of the way. Then people were saying, like homeless people were saying, that the city usually sets up on a website. They'll let you know when there's rooms that have opened up in shelters. And they said, no rooms for weeks. Can't get a room. No room, no room, no room. Then all of a sudden, Xi Jinping's coming to town. All of a sudden, the city opened up a bunch of room and shelters. All the homeless people said, wow, look at that. All of a sudden, I can find housing. The government's going to put me up here. And it's not because they want to, it's because they had a fire under their ass because Xi Jinping was coming. And we can't let the commies know that we're living in squalor over here. That would be embarrassing. So it will be interesting to see how this ramps up before the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Or is it about maybe something sooner? Maybe a potential run for office in 2028, because that timing makes sense to me. Gavin Newsom is out in 2026. He cannot run for governor again. So he's done. So he's got to take this last year in office and go out with a bang, because if he runs in 2028, everyone's just going to say, well, you ran California into the ground. So now with 1 year left, he's saying, okay, now it's time to put these tens of billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars to use. And we're actually going to clean up the homelessness crisis. And we're actually going to make California a good place to live so that people will have a favorable memory of me as governor. That's what he's doing. This is his plan. Because if he ran for governor right now, if he ran for president right now, people could point to so many things during his time in office that would say, you're not fit to run the country. You ran your own state into the ground. They're in a bunch of debt. They paid for the health care of all these migrants. Now they're running out of money. He hasn't handled this very well. But now he knows, shoot, I'm out of office. This is my last go at this. I've got to do my best to clean up my act so that people will vote for me in 2028. That is my prediction. And Jasmine Crockett, our favorite, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, she says that she has intel that Democrat donors, they want to elect or they want to put up a safe white boy for the next election.
It is this fear that the people within the party, within the primary system, will have about voting for a woman, because every time we voted for a woman, we've lost so far. And I think that that's a natural fear because we just want to win. So there's a lot of people that are like, you know what? Like, let's go find the safest white boy we can find. I mean, I'm just saying.
Those are the callers that we're hearing. We're hearing people.
No, for real.
A white man's got to do it. We're getting those callers.
For real. And to be clear, when we talk about them, I can tell you that there is one specific candidate. I had a donor on the phones with me telling me that all the donors are lining up behind that candidate. So I can tell, and I can tell you it's not a black person nor woman.
Interesting. not a black person, not a woman. I mean, they're finally realizing, and these are not the reasons, by the way, that those candidates lost. They were bad candidates. Let's just get that out of the way. But it's funny that they don't understand that. It's like, oh, well, the black woman lost. Hillary Clinton lost. She's a woman, so let's do away with the woman thing. And it's interesting that they're not connecting the dots. They're thinking, oh, the United States is not ready for a female candidate. Oh, the United States is not ready for a black woman or what have you. Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton were unlikable across the board. Genuinely unlikable. Kamala Harris was polling so close to the negatives. She dropped out before anyone cast a vote for her. The only reason why she was the vice president of the United States was because she was black, not because she was right for the party. Anyway, it is interesting that she's saying now the Democrat Party, now they're going to go full steam ahead with a safe white boy, whatever that is. I would argue that Joe Biden was a safe white boy. He was just failing. He was a very old, safe white boy. But I think Governor Gavin Newsom is definitely gearing up for this slot. I don't know if this is who she's talking about, but definitely an option. And he has been reaching across the aisle recently, especially with his podcast. This is Gavin Newsom. He has conservatives on. He's trying to, I guess, reach across the aisle. It's totally slimy. Anyone can see right through what he's doing. But he had Charlie Kirk on. He admitted, my son watches Charlie Kirk's videos. So seemingly coming off as bipartisan, like he's this moderate and he wouldn't be that bad to work with. But as we know, Gavin Newsom's a slimy POS. So anyway, he's getting into the good graces of Republicans, or trying to. I'm not saying it's successful, but he will need to do that and pull some independents over to win if he wants to win. Another option, Senator Jon Ossoff. Jon Ossoff has raised a record-breaking $11 million for his Senate reelection in Q1. That's a lot of capital. And you need a lot of capital to be president in 2028. So he's still trying to secure his spot in the Senate, but you never know. He's raising a lot of money. He's also young. He's 38. He took office in 2021. Very woke. He came up. He was one of these young rising stars in the Democrat Party with the whole George Floyd stuff. Senator Chris Murphy, another one who's raising a lot of money. He raised $8 million in Q1, and he doesn't face re-election for another 5 years. So he says that he's using the money to organize or what have you, but I think he's probably organizing for something. If he's safe in his seat for another 5 years and doesn't face re-election, what's his $8 million for? Maybe he would be running for president. You need a lot of capital to do that. So, Governor Josh Shapiro, likely out of the question because they'll lose the progressives on the Israel-Palestine issue. Kamala Harris, as we know, chose tampon Tim Walz instead of him for one of the most unpopular tickets ever. I do think that in 2028, we are going to see the youngest candidates facing off against each other in a very long time. Both parties have been signaling that they are moving away from the 70 and 80-year-old candidates. Joe Biden has said it. President Trump has said it. So if Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is right and donors say that they won't run a woman or a black person in 2028, I can't see them throwing away the identity politics thing completely. I think Democrats have got to offset the safe white boy with a minority VP candidate because then they're going to lose the progressives anyway. The Democrats are not going to go for a full white boy, safe white boy ticket. So it's very interesting. Like Kamala Harris even said the other day that she picked Tim Walz so that he could code talk to white dudes. And it's like, anyway, so they're very obsessed with the whole race thing. I wonder how progressive they will go. I think Senator Jon Ossoff, whether he wins the Senate reelection or not, we will see. But Jon Ossoff and AOC, AOC has been out doing a lot of speaking engagements and rallies. For what? I don't know. She's showing her face with Senator Bernie Sanders. They're doing the Fight the Oligarchy tour. I can't see Senator Bernie Sanders running for president ever again, so I don't think that they would run together. But she is putting her name out there, and I don't know how big these crowds are, but people are going to watch these rallies. So I don't know. She's going to be old enough by the next election, so I would think like a Jon Ossoff AOC would be a ticket that the Democrats might put up. I think on the Republican side, J.D. Vance, obviously, wonderful pick. President Trump has mentioned that passing the torch to him would be ideal. He's also mentioned Secretary Marco Rubio, who's, again, wonderful. I'd be happy with him as well. I think VP candidates, maybe Tulsi Gabbard, maybe Vivek Ramaswamy. But I think either way, voters on either side of the aisle feel very passionately about these candidates. MAGA loves Trump. Nobody really loved Biden. You know, he was just Obama's sidekick. He was the old guy that everyone felt bad for. Kamala Harris, just bad candidate. Like I said, she was just thrown in there. So I think 2028 will be the youngest candidates we've seen in a while, and young people who actually feel more connected to them. I also think this next election will be extremely hard fought, extremely close. I think whoever wins, it will not be a blowout at all. So Republicans will really have to keep the momentum going strong. And speaking of President Trump's momentum, we have to talk about this very busy weekend full of good news. Last American hostage has been returned. President Trump is putting pressure on Hamas since before he got into office. He said there would be hell to pay if hostages weren't released by his inauguration. Then back in February, when he did get into office, he said all hell would break loose if those hostages weren't returned. All hell gonna break loose if Hamas doesn't release the hostages. And now we're going to turn to present day. I'm going to tell you all about it in just a second. I'm taking a quick break. So I was telling you about all the pressure that President Trump had been placing on Hamas. We have American citizens and Israeli American citizens in Hamas's control. And he said, you better release these people. I'm going to come into office. You're going to fear me. All hell is going to break loose if you don't do what I say. So as of today, Hamas has released Israeli American hostage Eden Alexander after over a year and a half in captivity. Now, he's a native of Tenafly, New Jersey. That's where his parents and his younger siblings still live. But Eden Alexander, he moved to Israel in 2022 after high school. He had enlisted in the military. And on October 7th, 2023, he was taken from his military base during this disgusting attack of October 7th. And that is what offset everything. It set off the war in Gaza. And now, here's some staggering numbers. Of the 251 hostages that were taken during the Hamas attack, 59 still remain in their enclave, but they only believe that 24 are still alive. So this is truly a miracle that Eden Alexander has been brought back home, or he's back in Israel right now, alive. And I do believe that we will see a ceasefire under President Trump's leadership. It doesn't matter where you stand on this political issue, whether you're pro-Israel or you're pro-Palestine, fighting and ongoing wars are never good. It doesn't bode well for anyone, especially if taxpayers are funding one side or both sides of a war. It should behoove everyone to stop the fighting. Same thing with the war in Russia and Ukraine. And it didn't seem like ending these conflicts were a priority to the Biden administration. Biden either wasn't willing to place pressure on Hamas or Putin, or they didn't respect him. Either way, Americans were in captivity being held by terrorists for over a year, and we didn't see much movement until President Trump's leadership. So this is very, very promising. Again, great update. Trump just signed an executive order again earlier today, taking action to keep pharmaceutical manufacturers from charging Americans high drug prices while giving all these discounts to all these other nations. Again, we're getting the short end of the stick. As we know, President Trump, he is America first. He wants to level the playing field. And according to recent data, the prices that Americans pay for brand name drugs are more than 3 times the price that other countries pay. Huh? So the United States has less than 5% of the world's population and yet funds 75% of global pharmaceutical profits. So finally, we're seeing some movement. We've seen the tariffs and how this is playing out. We've got updates earlier today, even that China and the United States, they've come to a conclusion. They're going to drop most of these tariffs by a lot. We're seeing this work in real time. And thankfully, this will really make a difference for the American people. And here's what President Trump posted on Truth Social. Drug prices to be cut by 59%, more than that. He said in most cases, like 30% to 80% even. He said, plus gasoline, energy, groceries, and all other costs down. No inflation. Love DJT. I like that he signed off love DJT. That's a good one. But have you guys seen, I want to ask the chat, have you seen lower gas prices? Have you seen lower prices at the grocery store? Have you seen a difference? Because I remember under President Biden, I would go to the grocery store. There were eggs for, no joke, $8, a dozen of eggs. Now, the prices are still high, but they're way better. Price under $2. So, I don't know. President Trump said that there's some places where gas is hitting $1.89. So if you see it and you're driving, if you scroll with the homies and you see a gas station that has regular fuel for under $2, you have to take a picture, and we've got to tell this guy, Chase Oliver, that we've got him. But for the most part, gas prices by me are going down. I did see some in the 3s, and now they're significantly lower in the 2s. So at least we're moving in the right direction. Someone else said, I look forward to the lower RX costs. Yeah. Okay, so dark blue. Oh, this is Gas Buddy. They've got everything. Okay, so dark blue. So a lot of counties in Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. Where else is there blue? Is there anything under 1? I'm sorry, under 2? That's the dark blue you're saying? Huh. Interesting. Are you hovering over the dark blue? Maybe. Interesting. Someone said maybe 180 before taxes. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to come back to this. We'll have to see. But I know that when I was budgeting, okay, so if you follow me and you've been watching this show, you know that I just started driving again 3 months ago after taking almost a decade off of driving. So I really had no way of knowing what gas prices. I mean, I wasn't even driving by gas stations. Like I was not paying attention to the gas prices at all. But I'm working in media, so I'm hearing all the time, like gas prices are high, gas prices are high. This is under Biden, Putin's price hike and all this stuff. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, gas must be really, really expensive. And we were reporting on the numbers, especially in California. Some of these gas stations were hitting $8 a gallon, $6 a gallon. I mean, a lot of money. So when I was budgeting for gas, I was like, I've got to budget like $400 a month for gas. This is just what I was thinking. I spend like $60 a month on gas. So I have a little extra in my budget, which I thought I was going to spend on gas, but I am not. But I remember being in high school and under Obama, Obama was president when I was in high school, and gas was $5 a gallon. And when you're a babysitter, a part-time babysitter, that hurt. I'll tell you, that hurt. And I haven't seen gas prices that high since, at least in my area. But yeah. Anyway, I've got a video now that has been going viral, and people have been freaking out over Emmanuel Macron, the French president. He was with the German Chancellor Merz. He was with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. They were in Kyiv. They were visiting with Zelensky, and on their way back to wherever they were going, the press kind of surprised them, if you will. And it was an impromptu photo op. Here's a video of that impromptu photo op. Watch. All right, so you see that on the table. It looks like he grabs whatever that is, puts it under his arm. Definitely looks sketchy. And you can see the German chancellor, too. He grabs whatever is under his hand, whatever was on the table, and he hides it in his fist as well. Well, I'll tell you what the internet is saying. The internet is saying that this is a baggie of cocaine, and the German chancellor was, I don't know, what is this, like some spoon to do cocaine? Listen, I'm just going to tell you, I don't do drugs. I'm not very well informed when it comes to drug paraphernalia. So this isn't my forte. But the French government and the German government have come out and said that this is a disinformation campaign. They said it is fake news being spread by France's enemies, both abroad and at home. They said we must remain vigilant against manipulation. Okay, so here's what people are saying looks like a baggie. I hate to break it to you guys. I think it's a tissue. Andy disagrees with me.
They were so surprised when that door opened and the press came in.
They did. I think they were shocked that the press came in because they weren't expecting the press. And I can't really explain why he hid the tissue like that. But I don't think it looks like a baggie, in my opinion, unless it looks different in Europe. I don't know. Will a European cokehead tell me if this is what bags of coke look like in Europe? Because I don't know.
Nobody hides a tissue like that.
So you agree that it's cocaine? Or something?
I mean, like...
Something.
Okay,
but like,
so
what would
we
it
talked
be?
about this. Where were they coming from?
They were coming from a meeting with Zelensky.
And, I mean, that's a thing about him, right? I mean, people
I've heard, but I don't know if that's true.
I mean, if we're betting money here, like, you're not going to drop... I'd bet you a Dunkin' Donuts across the street. That right there is exactly Colombian Bam Bam.
I don't know, guys. Okay, and then if you could zoom in on that, what this apparent Coke spoon, it is what I have these in my apartment. It's like the little bamboo sticks that you put in a cocktail. If you put like a piece of fruit, like a lime or a lemon wedge or an orange, like it is that thing. It's like a bamboo, like that yellow green thing. I don't know what it's called. It's a stick. It's like a little stick. I have them in my apartment to make dirty martinis. I put the little olives on them.
In this case, though, the application is used.
Weird to hide it, though. I agree. It's weird to hide it. I don't know. Did he not want his dirty tissue in the picture? I don't know. Then the German government, they said, we reject this absurd claim. They said it is indeed just a tissue, Russian disinformation or something like that. My alarm bells go off because it's like, what are you trying to say?
And how many times have we heard the word
That's what I'm
disinformation?
saying. Especially
exactly.
with like Hunter Biden and like Russian disinformation. It's like, it wasn't disinformation.
Yeah,
so
right.
I don't know. I'm like on the fence. I think it was a tissue. I'm going to be on the record saying tissue. I don't think it's cocaine, but I think they're acting really strange.
You're an optimist.
I'm being an optimist. I'm trying not to think that. But I will say, I think more people do cocaine than we're willing to admit as a society. It is like everyone was saying, we have to find out who was doing cocaine in the White House. We have to find out if it was hunters. Like the amount of people probably doing cocaine in the White House would make you blush. I think the majority of people working in high stress jobs on Wall Street in New York City, I mean, like people do cocaine a lot. More than I would like to admit, more than I think us as a society would like to admit. I just think this is like a rampant problem. And it wouldn't shock me if world leaders were doing cocaine, especially if they were jet lagged and having meetings. Like this wouldn't shock me.
Me and Mikey thought that we would settle in the middle here and say that he wiped his coke nose with a tissue.
That's how we'll call it. That's the middle ground here. But I do have a video that's even more concerning than politicians doing cocaine. And this is Emmanuel Macron hugging Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Let's take a look at this. Very nice embrace, lots of pats. They're close. Oh, he's grabbing the back of his head. Now they're kissing.
Thank you.
Lots of touching. Lots of touching. How many times did they kiss? Twice? Yep. Which I get. It's a European thing. All right? You can chalk up the kissing to the European, like, that kind of thing. But two guys, two leaders of nations. But we got to play this again, and we've got to stop on the most concerning part of the video, because I thought we can chalk up the double kiss to just like a European thing. But then you got to see them. They're grabbing onto each other's forearms. What is this? We've got to stop it. We're going to try to stop it on here so you can see it. Why are they grabbing onto each other like that? Can all the men in the chat let me know if this is normal? Because I'm just a woman, but I don't think that this is a normal way that men greet each other. Certainly not world leaders. What is that? Why are they doing that to each other? Everyone's saying, nope, nope, nope. A unanimous nope. And then a stop, I'm eating in the chat.
A fist bump. That's all you need to do. A fist bump.
No, a firm handshake is all you need to do. Your two leaders, your world leaders, a firm handshake and call it a day. Quit with the kissing. Quit with the forearm grip. It's insane. It's insane. All you have to do is just a firm handshake. Anyway, it's about that time. It's scrolling time. All right. As we know, we have a new pope, Leo the 14th. And now his brother, well, there's a lot of conversation happening about whether or not, the new pope is conservative enough, where he stands politically. And we know now where his brother stands. But we're going to get into that in just a minute. Very funny videos have been going viral this weekend. Local news stations, large news stations and networks, they're descending on Chicago to interview his family members. And they went to Florida to interview Pope Leo's older brother, Lou. Watch this.
He was my stupid little brother. What do older brothers do to their little brothers? They beat him up, they throw him down, literally throw him down the stairs.
You threw the Pope down the stairs.
And not the Pope. He was pretend Pope. He was pretend priest. He used to always play priest when he was little. That's how we knew this guy's something special. I'm still the black sheep of the family. Play cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians. He would play priest. How boring. Come on, Rob, let's go. No, can I give you communion? And it's like, this is what we grew up. So 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, we tease him all the time. You just want to be the Pope, don't you? And we just tease, you're going to be the Pope. You want to be the Pope. And as stupid kids, not ever thinking it would ever happen, here we are today. Damned if it didn't happen. He's the Pope. Now what? Holy, all that teasing we did, all that name calling, am I going to burn for how I treated the Pope when he was growing up?
Am I going to burn I don't think he's going to burn. But like I said, lots of people wondering where the family stands politically, what teams they follow. He's a White Sox fan. People are all up in arms about that. But there is no surprise where Lou Prevost stands politically. On October 1st, he posted on Facebook that JD was phenomenal debating Tim Walz and the moderators, very knowledgeable and well-spoken. He will make a great VP and then a great president. And he does live in Florida, Lou. Then he also posted this on Facebook, this meme. Look at this. No, number 17. First, we got to get to the meme. If you don't have it, that's okay. We can move on to the next thing. All you need to know is he posted... Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing. He posted about Nancy Pelosi. There was the Daily Beast, of course, does this whole deep dive on his, right-wing posts or whatever. Okay, here's the meme that he posted. He wrote, "True." This was in October of this year. "Where the woke lived before the 70s," and it's a picture of a mental institution. So he's got a sense of humor, and he's on the right side of history. So we love that. He also posted this video back in the day, in the 90s, of Nancy Pelosi talking about the trade wars and tariffs and how it's unfair for the United States. And whoever posted this video of Nancy Pelosi said that she was this effing liberal, dumb, and an effing CNX Tuesday. And Lou also reposted that. So maybe he does think that Nancy Pelosi is a CNX Tuesday. We don't know. But he did repost that on Facebook. All right. The first video that I have for you, it's concerning. All right. There are these liberal women who think that if you had an abortion, you deserve to be celebrated on Mother's Day. Watch. It says, Happy Mother's Day to all the women who made the hard choice and decided it wasn't the right time. Nope, I don't think I'm going to wish you a happy Mother's Day. I don't think I'm going to, because you chose not to bring life into the world. You chose not to be a mother. And it's interesting how they make this work in their heads, because they'll tell you until they're blue in the face that it's just a clump of cells and that it's not a baby. And then in the same breath, they want you to celebrate them on Mother's Day. Oh, so it is a baby. You do recognize that it is a baby. It is not just a clump of cells, and you are murdering your offspring. It's crazy. Now, this next person, she also thinks that Trump supporters cannot celebrate Mother's Day. There are a lot of things on the internet people say that Trump supporters can't do. We can't fake tan because that's racist, and we don't like people of color. Not true. We can't watch the Wicked movie because we're not empathetic towards people who are different than us. Not true. We can't celebrate Cinco de Mayo because we support deportations of people who are here illegally. Not true. Now, liberals on the internet are saying that Trump supporters can't celebrate Mother's Day. Watch this one. I don't want to hear a single Trump supporter say Happy Mother's Day when y'all do not advocate for or support mothers. Huh? I just want to ask the chat, are you a Trump supporter? And if so, did you celebrate Mother's Day? Because unpopular opinion for this person, Trump supporters, they actually keep their offspring and they deserve to be celebrated. And they're probably great mothers. People in the chat are saying, yes, of course. Yes, I supported Trump. And yes, I celebrated Mother's Day. Yes, yes, yes. You know what else? Celebrating Mother's Day, it shouldn't be political. You shouldn't have to bring abortion into it. You should just celebrate your mother because it's the normal thing to do. And liberals, they have to ruin it. They have to ruin it. Everything is a chance for them to push their activism and be, quite frankly, annoying. And cry on the internet, as we know. I do have a video of a crying liberal coming up in just a moment, but first we have to get to Harry Sisson. Harry Sisson, as we know, is an arm of the Biden administration and of the DNC. He was their favorite Gen Z influencer, and he posted a video about this chaotic scene that unfolded in Worcester, Massachusetts over the weekend, where there was an ICE raid and it led to the arrest of a 16-year-old teenager And a woman was charged with assault and battery on a police officer. So let's watch this. You see this all taking place, lots of screaming. Lots of protesters interfering with the law enforcement.
That was an ICE raid that took place in Massachusetts on Thursday. Neighbors were trying to stop these agents from detaining a mother who was with 2 young children, including a newborn baby. Those screams that you heard in that video are of family members, friends, loved ones watching their lives and their family get ripped apart right in front of them simply because Donald Trump has a vendetta against people who don't look like him or don't speak like him or don't pray like him or don't love like him. And let me just be 100% honest. No BS, because I'm sick of people being nice about this stuff. If you watched that video and you smiled and you laughed and you were happy and you think that this is a good thing, you are a bad person. Your morals are bad, and Donald Trump is a horrible human being for doing this to people. Plain and simple.
Yeah, this is a lot of what people voted for. And Donald Trump, Republicans, ICE officers, they don't have a vendetta against people who look different than them. Looking different doesn't matter. Worshipping different doesn't matter. Protected under the Constitution, we know this. Evading immigration laws and evading arrest is not protected. You can have family members who love you. That doesn't mean you're absolved of your crimes. You can have a newborn baby. Doesn't mean that you're above the law. And all of those protesters that you saw interfering with the police officers doing their jobs, dumb. Also illegal. You can't resist arrest. And to Harry's point about Trump supporters cheering this on, we're not doing so smiling or laughing. This is a serious matter. But you're not a bad human being for wanting law enforcement to enforce the law. It makes all of our communities safer. And I also want to point out that the family's attorney said that the mother is seeking asylum and her 3 daughters are here in the country under a deferred action program. Okay, so they're here illegally. Or the mom was here illegally. The lawyer also went out and said that she didn't commit any crime. She doesn't have a deportation order. So there's no reason why immigration would want to detain the mother. What other reason do they need other than she's not supposed to be here? This is what happens, by the way, when you live in a sanctuary state or city. You essentially just put a target on your backs. Now the Trump administration knows where all of you live. Police also said that as the vehicle tried to pull away with the detained woman, the 16-year-old daughter holding the newborn baby stood in front of the car. She was arrested. So as the vehicle moved away, she ran after the vehicle and kicked the passenger side of the door of the cop car. And one of the police officers said it appeared that she was going to run in front of the moving vehicle and officers took her into custody. Especially because if it appeared that she was going to run in front of the vehicle and she was holding a newborn baby, this person should not have custody of this child. That juvenile girl, 16-year-old, was later charged with reckless endangerment of a child, disturbing the peace, and disorderly conduct, and also resisting arrest. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It didn't have to go like this. The mother, who has obviously been a target of ICE because she was not here legally, she could have been arrested, and it could have been the end of it. But all the liberals had to come and protest and resist arrest and interfere with the arrest. They made the situation into what it was, which was chaotic and a mess, and it didn't have to be that. The 16-year-old girl didn't have to scream and kick the police car and get arrested. It didn't have to happen that way. But now, Here's a liberal who saw this all go down, and now she had to set up her camera, as you know, and start the waterworks. Watch this.
Can somebody please tell me how to help? People are being kidnapped off the street. I'm protesting, I'm writing letters, I'm making phone calls, I'm making content, I'm reposting content. I don't know what else to do to help.
She literally said that people are being kidnapped off the street. Being arrested by police officers because you're in the country illegally, being arrested by police officers because you ran in front of a car with a child, being arrested by police officers for kicking a police car is not being kidnapped. You can cry on TikTok all you want. You can repost your content. You won't undo the crimes of random people you've never met before. So quit crying and let law enforcement do their jobs. It's really as simple as that. And it's really embarrassing why they're all crying on the internet. Like, someone just said it's TDS. It's not kidnappings, you idiots. Mental illness, FAFO. And on that note, I want to end the show on a funny one. I haven't done a funny, cute one in a while. So here's a cute baby video. Watch.
Boop, boop. Boop, boop.
The middle finger, really?
And the baby throws up the middle finger because he didn't like that so much. If you're listening and not watching, the mom just booped the baby's little nose a few times and the baby just threw up a middle finger. Maybe he didn't like it too much, but someone in the chat says, dang, I love babies. They're so cute. They're just so cute. I always like ending on a good note if I can, so I thought that was cute. All right, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for scrolling. Thank you to all my homies for scrolling with me. It's always so much fun. You can follow me on social media at Hayley Caronia on X, on Truth Social, on TikTok, on Instagram. I'm always posting stuff on there. So if you miss me until tomorrow, you can catch me there. But I will see you right back here on Nightly Scroll tomorrow.